So today I wanted to do a little bit deeper of a reading. I pulled a card, the new moon in Scorpio, work through your fears. Hopefully you can see that. Which is funny because 2 weeks ago, almost 2 weeks ago, we did have a new moon in Scorpio. So this makes me think about whatever was coming up for you during that time. So just think about like 2 weeks ago, was there something that I was going through as a challenge and experience? Maybe it was something good, but something is being asked to be looked at, and maybe it's just a reminder that it's time to begin, or that maybe we need to go a little deeper. We did not get to the root of it, which is a very Scorpio trait. Scorpio likes to investigate. Not we, I'm not a Scorpio. Scorpio likes to investigate. They want to see what's going on beneath the surface. And they can also sense it too. So there's this sense that there's more. And it's a time that we can really dive deep and get into it. What do you think, Miller? So, one thing that this card brings up in this is the Moonology deck. I really do like it. This description of the new moon in Scorpio talks about the death and rebirth cycle, and it's talking about the rebirth specifically. But what I like to think about in this time is not necessarily the phoenix rising from the ashes, but it's the moment before it enters the fire. Before you enter the fire, what is happening? You know, what is happening in your life that leads to the decision to begin this transformation, to begin this death and rebirth cycle. So, a little backstory. I myself remember the moment where I decided to enter the fire. I was not spiritual at the time, and I found manifestation, and I was at a point in my life where things weren't working. I had to do something, and that is when I decided to sign up for this 10-week manifestation course, and I thought I was spending so much money on it. I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. But I knew that it was time for a transformation, and so I stepped into that. And it can be stepping into those flames. It can be one of the hardest decisions you've ever had to make, because this is before you have any proof of what you're doing actually working. So it is kind of like a new beginning in like the rebirth sense. However, it's the moment you choose to move forward, even when you have no proof of what's going to happen. You have no idea. It's the unknown. It's leaping over a cliff. It's terrifying. It is deeply transformational and intense. It can be very intense. If you've gone through these death and rebirth cycles before, and maybe you're coming up against a block or a new challenge in your life, I want you to look back at the very first moment you decided to leap, to step into that fire, to transform yourself, to become a new version of you, not knowing what the hell was going on, what the hell you were doing, just doing it because you knew it was time. So I want you to think back to that version of you and just remember how powerful that is to do that. There's so much power in that decision to enter that void space, not fully knowing when or if you will become that phoenix rising from the ashes. It's like a faith, just knowing that you're going to be okay no matter what happens. And that's hard when you don't have any physical evidence. If you've never done like the manifestation process and you've never seen the proof of your work, like your inner work, if this is the first time, you don't know how that's going to come about, how it's going to change your reality, and yet you know that you're choosing to put yourself through this process of diving deep into your psyche, which can be really hard, right? Like, we hold on to so much, and the first time you're like, let's dive in and see what's going on, let's swim around in the depths. That can be a lot to handle. So kudos to you for doing that over and over again if you have. And if you haven't, if this is your first time and you're feeling called to begin something, and maybe you're not spiritual and you feel very drawn to it, just want you to know that it is so much more beautiful and magical than you can imagine. And there is a bliss. I know this may sound super weird. There is a bliss through that death process. The first moment you have a realization about your pain, about your patterns, it can be so freeing, because that's what a lot of this is. We're freeing ourselves from our ego, from our identity, from our masks that we show up in the world. The masks that we've created because at a certain time in our lives we needed that, and that was okay at the time. We have now just come to a realization that we don't need that anymore. That it is time to remove the mask, to have an ego death, because we know that there is more potential and more abundance for us. There's more truth too, more authenticity, and you'll be able to show up with more love, also attracting in things that are more in alignment with who you are now becoming, or in alignment with what you want. You want to become this version, then we need to let go of who we used to be, and not with anger and hatred. It's a moment of surrender, but also acceptance of who we've been, because we cannot let go if we resist it. We're just going to hold so much more judgment and shame towards ourselves, which is going to build on top of that. It doesn't create any space. It almost creates this contraction where we want some expansion. We want to breathe air into it to be able to release it, to create a little bit of space so we can see it a little more clearly and recognize that that is not us. Now I realize I've gone pretty far in this tangent. I hope this really makes sense. Let me just see if there's anything else that wants to come through. I guess the last thing I want to say is that you are so supported, you are so guided by the universe, by me. I support you and I believe in you, even if you don't believe in yourself yet, even if you have no proof that what you're doing is bringing you to the phoenix rising from the ashes. This card is literally telling you that is what is going to happen. And if you put the work in, and if you trust and have faith in yourself, in the universe, in the process, you will get there. So don't give up. You got this. Making the decision is powerful, and I give credit to you for knowing that you are powerful.